As I mentioned before, today is a special service. We have some guests with us. I'm going to ask them to come forward here, and then I will be happy to introduce them. So this is Natalie. Whoa.
Doesn't like me.
Yeah. This is Natalie. I want to say Pickett, but that's not. It's Liao. Despite me getting her last name wrong, and it's been your last name for 12 years, 13 years. Natalie's an old friend of Stephanie's, best friends. When Stephanie and I were dating, they would be checking in with each other. They would be having those hard conversations of, I think I like this guy, or I don't think I like this guy. When we were traveling in Latin America for 6 weeks, Natalie and Rai hosted us in their apartments, downtown Santiago, while riots were happening in the streets at times. They also hosted us for the hottest summer Thanksgiving meal I've ever had. Yeah. Cliver and Edimar are they're asylum seekers who've braved the journey from Venezuela all the way up here. And as we have taken seriously the needs of our neighbors, it is our honor to be able to hear their story and see where God is leading us to walk alongside them and others in their situation. As this service portion is going to be translated, there will be some pauses. But that's also a note of hospitality, because we don't want Natalie to be overwhelmed. I am going to get my phone out, and we're going to try to do this for 30 minutes. If it goes a little long, we may end up cutting some future service parts for the sake of time. Because you know I take coffee and cookies very seriously. So whenever I get the chance to have a conversation like this with other people, there's the introduction that I might think they want. But what's more important to me, and I think to us, is how would you like to introduce yourselves?
Just a simple introduction is fine with my name. Yeah.
Okay.
Was explained.
Okay. Okay. Could you pronounce it for us? Because I'm aware that I'm getting it wrong, and you are kind. With a name like mine, I understand this to be a point of graciousness, but some of us are able to, they're going to be much more capable, and I'm going to work on it.
Mi nombre es Cliver Rodríguez.
That's his name.
Cleaver.
Sí, mi nombre, Cliver Rodríguez.
My name is Cliver Rodriguez.
Rodriguez.
Rodríguez, sí.
Cleaver Rodriguez.
Sí, sí.
Yeah.
Okay.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mi nombre es Edimar Alaejo.
Edimar. What's her name?
Edimar
Edimar
Alaijo.
No.
No.
Alaejo.
Alaijo.
Oh, correcto.
Last month, Cliver was practicing
El mes
names with
pasado.
me as we walked to a McDonald's, and I'm still getting it wrong. So I'm going to jump into our questions. First, can you tell us a little about the challenges in Venezuela that people are facing?
¿Puede contarnos acerca de los desafíos en Venezuela que están enfrentando la gente?
Bueno, claro que sí.
Of course I can.
Nuevamente, buenos días.
Again, good morning.
Encantado de estar en este hermoso lugar
I love being in this beautiful place.
y viendo, como dicen en mi país,
Seeing how they say in my country,
toda esa leyenda viva que están allí.
all of these living legends that
O
are
sea, lo
in
digo
here.
en las personas mayores.
I see people that, yeah, seniors. Mhm.
Me da, haber llegado aquí, creo que
Coming
tengo más
here?
que haber llegado aquí,
Mhm. Since coming here,
sentí como con más ganas de vivir.
I feel like more like I want to live more abundantly.
Quiero tomar este espacio para
I want to take this
dar una
space.
expresión. Me siento muy contento
I feel very content
de haber conocido a Giuseppe, ¿verdad?
with meeting Giuseppe.
Las cosas no pasan porque uno quiere que pase, sino porque Dios las
Things
permite.
don't happen just for whatever. They happen because God wants them to.
Para mí es un honor
For me, it's an honor
estar con todos ustedes aquí en su
to
casa.
be here together with you
Casa de
guys in your
Dios.
house, in God's house.
Y le pudiera decir que las victorias
I could tell you that the victory
no son de las personas, no son para las personas que dejan de luchar,
is not for people who stop fighting,
sino para las personas que luchan por sus sueños.
but rather for the people who are fighting for their dreams.
Allí estamos nosotros,
That's where we are,
luchando por nuestros sueños.
fighting for our dreams.
O sea, no un sueño de riqueza,
No, it's not a dream for like wealth.
ni de nada de eso.
No,
Porque
nothing about that.
A veces los lujos y la riqueza no son agradables para Dios,
Sometimes luxury it's just for God, but
pero sí buscando paz y
I'm looking for
estabilidad para
peace
nuestros
and
hijos.
stability for our children.
En Venezuela hay una trayectoria muy difícil.
In Venezuela, there's just a kind of a journey that's really hard, very hard.
Y le comentaba hace un momento a la señorita Natalie
He was telling me a little while ago
sobre lo que está pasando en Venezuela.
what's happening in Venezuela.
O sea, mucha gente está saliendo del país
Many people are leaving the country,
buscando una alternativa de vida
looking for a different alternative to life,
por los modelos políticos de los gobernantes.
for the political, what's happening with the politics over there.
Y le decía pues que por eso es que la gente no se viene, sale de su país porque lo desea. Porque
People don't leave their country just because they want to there.
nadie quisiera salir de su
Nobody
confort
wants to leave there.
para sufrir tanto
Nobody wants to leave just to suffer.
en una trayectoria tan larga
It's a very long journey there.
como llegando al límite de perder un familiar, de perder a un hijo.
They're coming to like extremes of losing a relative or losing a child
Para llegar aquí.
to come here.
O sea, son tantos días de viaje, tantos días
There's
de...
lots of days of
Entonces,
travel.
allí se refleja Venezuela en la situación que está viviendo el país.
Venezuela is living that
O sea,
right now.
una Venezuela devastada, una Venezuela oprimida
It's very like oppressed right now in Venezuela,
en la actualidad,
right now, today.
donde las personas mayores, pues como ustedes,
For example,
Exactly.
seniors,
deberían ser las personas más cuidadas en este mundo.
people should be the most cared for in the world.
Aunque tengamos reemplazo.
Although we have like
Sí,
replacements,
porque todo en este mundo tiene un reemplazo.
everyone is replaceable in this world.
Entonces, ahorita, eso pasa en Venezuela, la gente Imagínese uno siendo joven,
The people in Venezuela that are young,
no teniendo para comer.
they don't even have anything to eat.
O sea, imagínese la alimentación que puede tener una persona mayor,
Imagine the people that are
que no
older,
puede salir,
o
what
sea,
they
que
have.
no puede trabajar,
They can't
o
work.
sea, no puede buscar. Y,
No tiene
y la
opciones.
pensión que le
They
dan,
don't have options.
la pensión que le dan le alcanza para comprar siquiera una cubeta de huevo.
So they said their pension doesn't even cover like buying a dozen eggs.
Allí está esa respuesta, Giuseppe. En cómo
That's your
ya,
answer,
si me
Giuseppe.
pongo imagínense, a contar, nos pasamos los 30 minutos.
If I keep telling you guys stories, the 30 minutes would go.
Sí.
Well, before I move on, Edimar, anything that you would like to add? Okay. So this is more logistical, but how long did it take you to make it from Venezuela to Portland?
Eso fue el viaje. O sea, lo más difícil de esta historia.
The hardest thing is the actual journey,
O sea, salir de tu país
to leave your country,
teniendo de repente una casita.
to have like a house over there.
Ahorita yo creo que las cosas más económicas que pueden existir en el mundo están en Venezuela.
Its most economic thing is to be in Venezuela.
Sí, y tú venderla a precio, o sea, póngase usted que sus padres pues hayan luchado 20.
Let's pretend that your parents have struggled for longer
O
years
sea, para construir
to like
algo para el
construct
futuro.
something for the future.
Y en segundo,
In
lo
seconds,
entregas
you have to just give it up
para que tus hijos puedan enervolar.
so that your children can
O
just
sea, venden, se
survive.
quedan en un espacio pequeño
you sell it, you
y
take a small place.
vete, hijo.
Like, okay,
Claro. O sea,
Bye.
las aves cuando enseñan a sus hijos a volar.
it's like birds when they teach their children how to fly.
Nos sueltan a que terminamos o nos vemos o no nos vemos más nunca.
Okay, ¿qué está
O sea,
explicando?
Si me mandaron, o sea, porque es difícil venirme de Venezuela
Uh-huh.
a un país donde recordemos que las leyes migratorias son un poquito complicadas.
Okay, so he's saying from coming from Venezuela to here, where the immigration laws are kind of a little bit complex.
A yo decirme, me vengo para Estados Unidos, por lo menos estoy dispuesto a pasar 20 años sin ver a mis padres.
I'm coming here with the notion of maybe not even seeing my parents for the next 20 years.
Ahorita podemos comunicarnos, pero el abrazo,
Yeah.
la calentura de una
We can
persona mayor,
talk, but we can't hug, we can't do any of
o sea,
that.
es tan grandioso para cualquier ser humano.
That's a big thing to
Entonces,
ask.
La trayectoria nuestra
So our journey,
fue a raíz de todo eso, lo que nuestros padres vendieron, nos dieron para que
that
avanzáramos.
was like the foundation, that was how our journey started.
Salimos en octubre
We left in October.
y llegamos aquí a los Estados Unidos el 22 de diciembre.
We got here on December 22nd.
Nos quedamos en México.
We were in Mexico.
En México como aproximadamente un mes y medio.
So we
dos
were
meses.
for a month and a half in Mexico.
Corrimos con la suerte
We were lucky.
donde hay miles de personas esperando la cita de la CP1.
There's millions, there's thousands of people waiting for this interview, this very special immigration interview.
Entonces, allí nos salió la cita y pudimos entrar relativamente por el puente. O sea, normal, entramos por el puerto de migración.
We were able to come through
Nos violamos la
normal,
frontera.
normal means. They didn't like cross the border. They were able to go through immigration through the process.
Entonces, la trayectoria es muy difícil.
The journey was very
Salir de
difficult.
Venezuela,
Leaving Venezuela,
pasar por Colombia,
to go to Colombia,
pasar la selva del Darién.
to go through the tropical rainforest.
Ahí uno lo ve, personas mayores, morir.
You see elderly just die,
O sea,
in
y
that
no
time.
morir por querer morir, sino morir
just dying to die,
buscando una opción de vida.
but they're desperately looking for an life alternative.
Tuve la oportunidad de de pasar, de taparle los ojos a mis hijas, pues, para cruzar una persona muerta.
Sometimes I'd have to close my daughter's eyes so they wouldn't have to, we could go over someone who had just passed away.
Y así fueron 4 días de selva,
And that were 4 days in the forest.
muy, 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 muy difícil.
Very, very
O
difficult.
sea, que no se lo desearía a nadie.
I could not tell anybody
O
that.
sea, ahorita me dicen que necesito que los Estados Unidos está de aquel lado o cualquier país, no regreso.
Now they're saying like, you know, if you, it doesn't matter like if you're the United States or in other countries right here, nope, you can't go back.
El descontrol total que hay en los países por la
Total
ola
control that's
migratoria.
in, yeah, the immigration policies that are in here.
No hay control con los buses, no hay control con la seguridad. O sea, te viene a la deriva del Señor. Él es el único que te guía.
So God's the only one who guides you because there's no security, there's no protocols to help with the security through this process, through help with a lot of, you're kind of on your own. So it's by God's grace that we got here.
Cuando el papel de migración dice un párrafo atrás,
When
que
the
somos como,
immigration paper is
Ajá.
saying in a paragraph on the back,
sí, somos extraterrestres.
we are
Dice.
extra, like we are aliens.
Sí, dice.
It says that.
En el que nos entrega migración a nosotros.
What immigration gave to us.
Y yo creo que el nombre como que casi sí va con nosotros, pero no que seamos extraterrestres.
Yeah,
Si
I think
no-
that was the
si no por
specific
el
name that
tipo
he
de
gave it to
lucha
us.
que tenemos que hacer para llegar aquí.
It doesn't express the challenge that we had to get here.
Colombia, Nicaragua,
Colombia,
no,
Nicaragua,
Colombia, Panamá,
Panama,
Costa Rica,
Costa Rica,
Nicaragua,
Nicaragua,
Honduras,
Honduras,
Guatemala,
Guatemala,
México
Mexico,
y los Estados Unidos.
and the United States.
Y hay gente que de repente vienen,
There's people that come,
traemos pensamientos quizás distintos.
we are, maybe are bringing different perspective,
Y
different mindset.
quiero contarte algo,
I wanna-
o
I wanna
contar
tell
algo
you
aquí en la
something
iglesia,
Here
que
to
lo
this
conté en una
church,
oportunidad.
we found
¿Por qué yo tenía la devoción de venir a los Estados Unidos?
¿Por qué tenía la qué?
La devoción.
Las
Okay.
ganas.
Sí, las
Okay.
ganas.
Las
Why
ganas.
he wants to tell you why he wanted to come to the United States.
Había un niño
There was a kid
en mi pueblo
in my town,
llamado Alejandro
Alejandro was his name.
y tenía neurofibromatosis.
¿Qué es eso?
Es una enfermedad donde se le pone la cara, que aquí la estudian mucho esa enfermedad,
Ajá, ajá.
que los niños nacen con como con
Como que la cara
un
se
exceso, aquí le
como
tapa
que la
los
cara
ojos.
se le derrite.
Oh,
O sea,
okay. So it's a condition. This child
Es una
had
enfermedad.
a sickness, a
Como
condition,
que
a
naciera-
medical condition that like his face was
Ajá.
almost like
Ajá.
showing that it was like
Ajá,
melting.
correcto.
Just,
Entonces llegó una misionera, le
Extreme
decían
deformity.
misionera,
and then
Una
a missionary
persona-
came
una persona no mayor, no mucho mayor que la
and
señora.
says a little bit older than the lady who's sitting right here,
Y ella llegó misionera en mi pueblo.
and she was a missionary in
Era
my
americana,
town. She was
por la iglesia
American,
católica.
Catholic,
Y yo la veía, pues siendo niño, la veía que llegaba, ella llegó y
I was
o
young,
sea,
and I saw her
un
come.
tipo- era un tipo de persona como que para mí yo pensaba que no existía,
I thought that type of person didn't exist
con
when I
un
saw her.
corazón tan noble.
Oh, with such a noble heart.
Entonces, no sé si es que nos encargamos de sembrar eso en los países, o sea, que llegue una persona y tú la veas, o sea, una persona mayor,
The fact that some
entonces que la
an
veas
elderly
y te
person
regale algo
came and like gave us something. I don't know if we were like
que es tan,
planting
claro,
something,
que es
but
tan valioso para mí y de
something that was
repente
so valuable to me,
ajá, tan insignificante para ella,
so significant for her to come.
pero es la diversidad de que la persona siente el amor por los demás,
So the diversity.
o la capacidad de que
Okay,
la
okay.
persona siente el amor por los demás.
So like the capability of that person to feel so much love for other people.
Y ella se conmovió tanto por ese niño con esa enfermedad. Y yo la
She
veía.
felt so bad for
Sí,
that
yo la
child
veía, yo
that
sé.
had that condition.
Sí, y se trajo el niño para los Estados Unidos.
She brought that child to the United States.
Lo operaron
They operated on him
en Baltimore.
in Baltimore,
Sí.
Maryland.
Allí lo volvió
That's where he took him.
volvió a llevar a mi pueblo, a Venezuela.
And then he took him back. She took him back
Sí.
to my town in Venezuela.
Sí, y el niño vivió mucho tiempo.
And the
murió
child-
no hace mucho.
The child lived a really great life. He did pass away
Murió no hace mucho
a while
y
ago.
muere a veces
And
por el
sometimes they
sistema,
die
por el sistema que hay en Venezuela donde no hay un,
for the system that
Ah.
exists in
claro,
Venezuela.
no hay un sistema de medicina
There isn't a
sustentable
good
para los
medical
pueblos.
system or a medical.
Entonces,
processes
eso para
there.
mí me llevó una conmoción tan
For
grande.
me, that just gave me like
O sea,
an
de ver esa
amazing
persona,
vision
eso,
to see
que
that
sí hay
person.
personas buenas.
there are good people.
Y porque ellos eran una familia de muy bajo recursos.
La misionera.
No,
la-
al niño que ella se
Saying that,
trata.
that family that the boy was operated had very, very low income levels.
Entonces yo decía dentro de mí, Dios mío, pero
And I said to myself and God, like,
¿qué tipo de gente es esta?
what type of person is this?
O sea, todas las personas en los Estados Unidos
All the people in the United States
tendrán ese corazón tan noble.
will
como
have
esta
this like
señora.
noble heart like this.
Sí, lo decía, madre.
That's what I said.
Y eso me llevó a mí que hace 5, 6, 7 años atrás,
So like 5, 6, 7 years behind.
para mí era imposible estar en los Estados Unidos.
To think it was impossible for me to be here in the United States.
Y no para mí, para miles de personas, miles de
Not
venezolanos.
even just for me, for thousands of Venezuelans think that.
Era algo muy imposible, muy
It was something
imposible.
that was very impossible to even think of.
Pero,
Solo veíamos la
pero imagínese
televisión.
usted,
Something that we saw on TV, she said.
entonces yo deseaba era eso, venir a sentir este calor aquí,
Just
o
feel
sea,
this
de los
warmth here
americanos.
of the Americans.
Y Dios hace las cosas tan justas,
God does like the perfect thing.
que conozco a este muchacho joven
Put this young man here.
y me trae, escucha Giuseppe,
Listen to
y me
Giuseppe.
trae a lo que yo viví hace mucho tiempo con la misionera.
That's what like I felt when I was living with that missionary
Y
and,
ve
and seeing what she did with that
toda
boy.
esta belleza que está aquí.
I see all this beauty here.
¿Ah?
Thank you.
Entonces,
That's
Dios me
amazing.
puso en el camino para venir aquí.
God put you to be able to help me in
Y
this
aquí
process.
estoy.
And here I
Entonces,
am.
esa trayectoria fue tan difícil.
That
Entonces,
journey
allí-
was so long
Allí
and
nace
hard.
mi amor por venir a los Estados Unidos.
That's how my love for coming to the United States was born.
De repente no un amor tan inmenso, pero sí, eso
It's an
vive en mí.
immense a love, and it just lives inside of me.
Pero sí vive en mí.
It
Ese
does.
gesto que hizo esa señora.
That
ese
gesture
niño.
that missionary did for that boy, that just really spoke to me.
La trayectoria en esos 6 países, para nosotros es
That journey to go
mortal.
through 6 different countries,
Y más que
it was
todo,
worth it.
tuvieron
es
una
mortal.
familia grande.
O sea, si tienen una familia grande,
Yeah, and if you have a
para
big
cruzar,
family,
para cruzar la frontera,
to cross the border,
cruzar todos esos países,
to go through all those countries,
todo es mucho dinero.
it's a lot of money.
La gente que se lucra
The people that are making money off of
con
that,
el inmigrante, o sea, se lucra con todo, o sea, todo es dinero, todo tiene que
Muchos
pagarlo.
secuestros.
yeah,
O sea, ¿me entiendes?
immigrants lose all that money. They have to pay for
Sí,
so many
y
things to be
aparte
able to come here.
llegas al término de que cómo tú vienes de Venezuela si en Venezuela no hay dinero, no hay nada.
There's no money in
O
Venezuela.
sea, tienes que llegar pidiendo
You have to come up here.
y
So, Stephanie and I were in Honduras right after President Lobo was installed. So, right after the coup. We were there for about a month. At the time, it was the most dangerous place in the world. Many of the countries you were are beautiful, filled with beautiful people, but also quite dangerous. And I recognize that the journey you took is not one you would have taken unless you had to. We have family in Honduras, and we still are not sure if and when we'll show Imogen and Brio. And the route you were on, through what I imagine is the Darien Gap, and the news continues to pump out that hundreds and hundreds are dying. So I know the desperation must be near incomprehensible for us. But I also see so much hope. And it makes me think about the hope that so many of our forebears, our ancestors, must have had when they came here.
Antes de que intervenga, parte de mi viaje,
Part of my journey, part of my trip,
o sea, nosotros llegamos aún incompleto, no te he contado eso.
incompleto.
Sí.
¿Qué es un
O
incompleto?
sea, incompleto de que éramos 8
Mhm.
y llegamos 4.
Oh, part of his trip, he said he didn't tell you this, is we started off as 8 and only 4 of us made it.
Sí, nosotros éramos 8 personas.
There were 8 people in my group.
Seguimos siendo 8.
We still, and no fallecieron.
No.
Okay, they didn't die.
Okay.
And we're like, ah.
No. Claro.
You're like, no, they didn't die, but
O sea, seguimos siendo 8 porque,
we're still 8 of us, but only 4 of us made.
o sea, que no te he contado, o sea,
I didn't tell you this before.
cuando salimos la mamá de ella, su
Her
esposo,
mom and
su
her
papá
husband.
y sus 2 hermanitas.
So her 2 little sisters and her parents also came with us.
No pudieron pasar la frontera.
And they couldn't go
De
across
México.
the border to Mexico.
Ahí están.
And they're still they're in Mexico right now.
Tienen 5 meses ahí.
They've been there for 5 months.
O sea, por eso le digo que llegamos incompleto.
That's why we're saying we're coming like incomplete.
Porque nosotros somos una familia de 8.
We're a family of 8.
La mamá de ella,
Yeah, her mom,
su padrastro
her stepdad,
y sus 2 hermanitas.
and her 2 little sisters.
Pasó algo allí. ¿Por qué se quedan ellos en la frontera y nosotros pasamos?
Why did they stay there and we were able to go?
Hay un programa de ahorita, como le digo, de la cita de la CIP, igual por el puerto de migración.
There's a special program with immigration.
Que entonces, hay un registro
There's a
que se
registry
hace,
that they make.
o sea, y nosotros, no sé, pues algo pasaría.
I don't know what was
Éramos
happening,
8, y
but
podíamos hacer el registro entre 8.
we were able to do the registry for all 8 of us.
Pero ¿qué pasa? Que tú te inscribes,
But what happens is you sign up,
nombre por nombre,
name after name,
y sube el registro a la CBP.
okay, and then you get off of the registry list to kind of have this appointment.
Porque estuviéramos nosotros 4 haciendo un registro.
So there's 4 of us that were doing this registry.
Pero cuando nos colocaron los 4,
When
el
they-
registro no se iba
¿cómo
al
se dice?
sistema. O sea, no subía.
Hay un error.
Sí.
There was
Arrojaba error.
an error when they were trying to put them up from the registry into the system. There was an error for all 4 of them.
Jesse, can you get the Kleenexes, please?
Y entonces tomamos la decisión
So we
porque
made the decision.
porque para comprar los boletos, o sea, tomamos una decisión porque para comprar los boletos
So we made a decision to buy the flights.
necesitábamos tener el registro de la CIP.
We had to have that registry, and where there was an error, they couldn't register the others.
Entonces, si no presentábamos el registro en los terminales de buses,
So if you
no
didn't
nos
have,
vendían el boleto.
so if you didn't, for a bus ticket, if you were at the bus terminal and you didn't have all the registrations, you couldn't go. So that's why they had the 4 that were registered in the system.
Cuya decisión nunca estuvimos de acuerdo en hacerlas. La decisión
We were
nunca
never in
estuvimos de acuerdo en
agreement.
hacer.
We never wanted to do that.
Tuvimos que hacer el registro de 4.
We had to do just for 4 and 4, separate our group.
Entonces, en esa toma de registro,
So in that registration
cada
process,
porque después que tú haces registro, tienes
Ujú.
que pedir una cita a
Sí.
las 12 de la noche y te dan la respuesta el otro día a las 11 de la mañana.
¿por qué a las 12 de la noche?
Porque
Así tenía el
sí,
día
así
entero.
tenía.
Okay.
Tú lo
So you
podías
had like
poner-
one day to,
sí, el sistema.
yeah, to like make, and you sign up for an interview, and then they gave it to you the next day by like 11 o'clock.
Entonces había gente que la pedía a las 10 de la mañana.
Some people ask for like 10
Sí, o sea,
a.m.
todo depende como tú quisieras pedir.
It just depends on how you want to ask for it.
Sí, entonces nosotros pedíamos la cita a las 11:30
We asked for an 11:30
y
appointment,
la respuesta te la dan el otro día.
and then they give you
Sí.
the answer the next day
Si fuiste elegible, seleccionado para
if
una
you were
cita,
selected or not.
y la cita nos sale a nosotros 4.
And we were given the answer for the 4 of us.
Entonces allí quedó ese pedazo de nosotros
So a piece of us has
en
kind
la
of
frontera,
has been left at the border.
el cual hoy en día hemos estado, se lo digo sinceramente,
Talking with you honestly right
sufrido
now,
un poquito
we
porque
have suffered
esa gente todavía están allí.
because these people are still there.
Antier, llovió mucho.
Yeah,
Ahí
we've
le
cried a
puedo mostrar los
lot.
videos.
I can show you even the video.
Y las carpas nadando en el agua. Entonces, eso es parte de nuestra trayectoria.
That is part of our journey as well.
Y a veces hubiésemos anhelado que se hubiesen quedado en Venezuela.
¿Cómo?
Que se hubiesen quedado en Venezuela.
So sometimes we think maybe it would have been better for them to even stay in Venezuela.
Porque allí han pasado muchas cosas.
In
Muy
Mexico,
difícil.
a lot of things have been happening, very
Que
difficult
duele.
things that hurt us.
Sí, porque y las niñitas cuando me llaman, mi cuñadita me dice, Clive, te fuiste y me dejaste.
Because my sister-in-law, when we talked,
Ella
she said,
tiene-
you left me here.
Tiene la edad de mi hija, de la última, 7 años.
She has the same age as is my oldest daughter.
Y nosotros no subimos fotos por internet, nada de eso, porque ella la
We
ve.
haven't like put any photos on
Y
internet and
llora,
stuff
me dice, Clive, te fuiste y me dejaste.
because she leaves me with this guilt of you guys left and you left me here, so we don't want to put any photos of
Y
ourselves
eso
up
me
there.
parte el alma.
That just like breaks my heart.
Yeah.
Eso es parte de nuestra historia.
That is part of our
Nuestra familia
story.
todavía está en México.
Our
Right.
family is still in Mexico,
Y pasó así como le dije.
and
Los
that's
registros fueron individuales porque
Yep.
lo ameritó.
the registration was divided.
Let's pause here for a moment. I have a few more questions to ask. Church, we're about at the 30-minute mark. But I think this is one of the most important conversations that we've had here. So, with your permission, could we skip the rest of the service for maybe 1 or 2 more questions? Okay. Thank you. These folks are so flexible.
Son tan flexibles.
They really do have big hearts. So, what is going to happen if Multnomah County does not extend emergency shelter funding? What's going to happen to asylum seekers? And also, what will happen to you and your family? And
Esta pregunta te la voy a
please feel free for both of you to answer if you'd like.
Esta pregunta te la voy a responder
I'm going to answer this question
con una sola palabra.
with just one word.
El gobierno,
The government,
de una u otra forma,
in however way,
se tendrá que dar de cuenta que los inmigrantes están dentro de su casa.
They have to realize that immigrants are inside of their house.
No hay manera.
There's
Tienen
no
que-
other
en
way.
algún
They have to
momento ellos se tienen que dar
realize,
cuenta y tienen que buscarle una salida a
they
esto.
have to look for a way out for this problem.
No nos van a tener, o sea, en un lugar aislado.
Yeah, they're not going to have like this little like isolated site over
O
here.
sea, tienen que incorporarnos a
They
la
have to
sociedad.
incorporate us into the society
Porque somos millones
because we're
y
millions.
pienso que la mayoría
And I'm thinking
tenemos algo
like
que aportarle a este país.
we have something to give to this country.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to add, Edimar?
¿Algo más que quiere agregar usted?
Con mi familia, con la familia que tenemos en la frontera,
So the family that we have at the border in Mexico,
estamos esperanzados de que
we're hoping
llegará el momento de ellos también.
that they
Nos
will
aferramos
be
mucho
able
a
to
Dios.
come here
Y
if
gracias
God
por
wants
las
it.
oraciones,
Thank you so much for the
que
prayers,
yo sé que eso también va a ser parte de eso.
because I know that that will be part of this
Para que
answer as
cuando
well.
salgamos de aquí tengamos la buena noticia.
So hopefully the next time that we come here, we have a good answer for you on that part.
So, I have been dreading March 31st, even though it's Easter. Because I worry about not just asylum seekers having to live on the streets, but you, my new friends, and your two beautiful young girls having to live on the streets. Is that a realistic fear?
Sí, sí es realista.
Diario.
Yeah,
O sea,
that would happen.
sí, es un miedo es un miedo. O sea,
Realístico
un
y
miedo
frustrante.
realístico.
It's very frustrating, she says.
Frustrante porque
It's frustrating
ya
because
se acerca la fecha.
the date is coming up
Ya se acerca la fecha y no tenemos una respuesta
and we don't have an
como
answer
para
yet
decirle a las niñas
to be
de
able
lo
to
que va a
tell our
pasar.
daughters what's
No
going
hay
to
una
happen.
explicación de decirles a ellas,
There's not an
mira,
explanation.
tenemos que irnos a la calle y
Oh, look, we have to
en
go
qué
here
momento
to
le vamos a
the
decir el
street.
por qué.
And
y
in
de
what
qué
moment are we
forma
going to
ellas
tell
van a
them and
poder
how are
vivir.
we going to tell them,
sea,
oh, we have to go live on the
O sea,
street?
ese es un miedo que a nosotros no se nos
It's a
quita
fear
y es a diario.
every
Yeah.
single day that we live with, having to tell them.
Yeah.
El nivel de adaptación, por lo menos en un país como este, un país
So like thinking about a country like this,
que es un país del primer mundo,
in the first world country,
y a veces las documentaciones para uno trabajar,
sometimes
O sea,
the documentation of
debemos
a
saber
worker,
que
we
eso,
know
en cualquier país que tú llegues,
in whatever country that you arrive at,
por lo menos Natalie, que me dijo ahorita,
or
la
at least
conocí
like
hoy
Natalie
aquí,
was telling me,
me pareció una persona muy especial.
she's a very
Sí.
special person to me.
Será por la conexión en el
Maybe for the
español.
connection, for Spanish.
Sí, y ella tiene que saber lo que el emigrar no es fácil.
Yeah, to immigrate, she must know that immigrating is not easy.
Entonces,
Correct.
es muy difícil.
It is difficult.
Yo le comentaba a ella ahorita allí
I was telling her just
que
a little
mis,
bit ago,
que mis hijas yo las tengo preparadas
my children, I have them like prepared
para muchas cosas
for many things,
en las adaptaciones.
like in adaptations.
Sí, porque si uno se adapta,
If you don't adapt
uno-
yourself,
uno tiene éxito.
you're not going to be successful.
Se lo dije a Alicia en una oportunidad. Le dije, "Alicia,
I was also telling him
si
in
en tu
one
casa son
opportunity,
vegetarianos,
if your
no
house
creo
are
que porque
vegetarians,
tú me veas gordito,
you see that
no,
I'm
yo
a little
también soy
chubby.
vegetariano.
I will be vegetarian also.
Claro, porque Dios le da su momento a cada quien.
Because God gives a moment or gives an opportunity to every single person.
One thing you might be picking up a little bit on this conversation, despite it all, they have a great sense of humor. So, there are some questions or comments that I hear people make about asylum seekers. One of them is this misunderstanding that shows people don't really know how this process works. So one of those questions are, why don't you just get a job so that you could pay rent?
Es lo que te vengo diciendo,
That's what I've been coming and saying,
que llegar aquí,
to come here
las leyes,
and all the laws.
eso me lo dijo Natalie,
I was telling Natalie.
que
Mhm.
también se llama como ella, Natalie.
Oh,
la que
a
anda
different
con Lisa,
Natalie.
I did,
Uh-huh.
okay.
Okay.
La que anda con
Yeah.
Lisa, ¿verdad que sí?
Yeah, it was
Y
with
dice
Alyssa.
que hay leyes aquí en los Estados Unidos.
There's laws in the there's laws in the United
O sea,
States.
lo dice ella, que es americana,
She's telling me that she's American,
que son muy malas.
that they're very bad.
Entonces, es lo que te digo, llegar a un país
That's what
donde
I'm
te abren
telling
las
you.
puertas, perdón,
Coming to a
Donde-
country that opens its
o
arms
sea,
to
donde te
you
abren las puertas y dejarte allí,
and just leave you
de la
there
nada,
in the middle of nowhere.
Pasa
Hmm.
y resuelve.
o sea, y resuelve.
Yeah, it's like, okay, here, you can
Pasa
come on
y
through and be
resuelve.
like, do it
O
by
sea,
yourself.
si yo vengo para el país
So yeah, if I'm coming to
donde-
another country,
donde lo dijo Biden en la entrevista pasada, yo creo que en la Cámara de Representantes cuando le rindó cuenta al país,
mhm.
que los Estados Unidos
So I was seeing, like, when I came through the interview
era un
process,
país,
I saw that in the
o
United
es un
States,
país que le da, que le ofrece
that offers
oportunidades
opportunities
a los inmigrantes que
to
ningún otro
immigrants.
país lo tiene.
to immigrants that other countries can't offer.
Y lo dijo mi amiga allá,
And I'm telling to my friend over there,
a la que estaba con nosotros en la, ¿cómo se llama? La que está azul.
I believe your name is Sharon, in the blue
Yeah.
coat.
Yeah, see,
¿Por qué hay tanto obstáculo
Why are there so many obstacles
para ayudar a los inmigrantes?
to help
Yeah.
immigrants?
yeah. So I'm going to answer part of the
Voy a
question
contestar parte de la pregunta también,
just to clarify.
solo para dejar claro.
One of the difficulties he's talking about,
Dificultades que está hablando él.
when you are in asylum seeker status, but you have not, you haven't been granted permission yet, you cannot work. You cannot have a work permit. If you do, and it is discovered, you lose asylum seeker status. So then you are left to survive outside of a source of work income. Some other asylum seeker populations have a network. Family, friends, or just country people who may already be in a place. But we don't have very many Venezuelans. And so there is not much of a network. We are the network. All right. Do any of you have any questions you would like to ask? If you do, I'll ask you to make them very short and simple. And you can come up to this microphone. Rita?
We love and bless him so much and pray so hard for him. Our hearts are open for you. Arms are open for you. We hate to hear your suffering. We want to try to help. The only thing right on the top of my mind, I hope some other state or some other groups, like people that deals with migrants, I can't tell them what, but groups that could help them to find people that's in their same, well, Pennsylvania.
Community, like if they know of other groups.
Yeah, that's all.
Emerge, right? Alyssa, who we've met before, Alyssa Keller Walker,
If you
and Asylum Solidarity Network, which is a brand new organization. And we've been involved in this. So when am I correct that there's not really any other organizations that have offered to help?
No, ahorita que vino la ola de frío,
So when the cold front came in,
allí Alisa nos hizo llamar al condado.
okay, Alyssa called the county.
Y ellos nos dieron el beneficio de estar ahorita en el hotel. Pero es lo que tú venías
The
comentando.
benefit that they were given,
Hasta el 31 de
yeah,
Hasta el
they
31
give
de
us a
marzo.
hotel space. So they've been helping with
Right.
that.
Entonces, las
Until the
reuniones,
31st.
las reuniones que hemos tenido,
So the meetings that we've been having,
ha asistido Giuseppe también. Y
Giuseppe has been going as well.
que la lucha que ellos han estado dando, Giuseppe, Alisa,
So
Natalie,
the
todas
obstacle
todos
that
ellos,
all of them have been facing
es a raíz a ese 31 de marzo que va a
is
pasar con
because
la-
of this date that's coming up, the 31st. So
Yeah.
they've been seeing help from through Alyssa, through the county a little bit, but
Yeah.
everything stops on the 31st.
Thank you, Rita.
If anybody else have any ideas or
Alguien más.
know of anything out there? Anybody know anything or share an idea? We're trying to help. I'm trying to help so bad.
Well, you can put the microphone down if you would like, and if anybody else wants to come up, they can. Thank you for starting us off, Rita.
Bless you. Let him bless both of them. Our prayers are with you.
Yes. Oh, sorry. Somebody was readjusting.
No, ahorita por lo menos, como le dije, pues, estamos ahorita en el hotel.
Okay, so saying that right now we're good at the hotel.
Sí, por lo menos, de ahí tenemos que movernos, será el 31.
Pero tienen contacto, tienen.
Si no,
Después
porque-
del 31 tienes algo.
no, o sea, hasta los momentos, Alicia y las demás organizaciones están tratando de ver cómo se agiliza ese time, o sea, ese tiempo
Okay.
del 31,
¿Cómo se extiende?
cómo se extiende. sí.
Okay, so Alyssa right now is seeing, the person that's helping them is seeing how they can maybe extend that time in the hotel. So for the time being, that's what they're waiting for, but they don't have any conclusive answers of after the 31st of housing yet.
So that's not in stone. And there is a possibility that the Red Cross could help with a tents village for 2 weeks, and then that's it. Some of us may end up finding our Easter busy trying to, help the Red Cross. There's a lot of unknowns, but Emerge is pretty close to out of. I mean, they're really out of funds, and they've gone in debt for this, as have some other organizations. So, I mean, if you do know of space, am I correct that it would be a welcome opportunity?
Sí, porque es que volvemos el emigrante cuando llega,
So yes, that would be great. Immigrants when they come,
y es la pregunta que tú hiciste, de que
It's always the question,
cómo hacer si tienes que trabajar para que pague tu
Yeah.
habitación.
it's like you always have to like pay to be able to stay in your room,
Si no lo podemos hacer,
but if we can't do that,
tú le ofreces a cualquier persona que llegue,
And
por lo menos a mí,
you offer to anybody, at least to me,
que tengo mis dos niñas,
and I have my wife and my 2 kids.
mira, Cliver, te vas a quedar aquí.
Cleaver, stay here.
Yeah.
I'm,
O sea,
yes.
no, o sea, ¿qué te puedo exigir?
Yeah.
What can I ask
Ajá,
for?
O sea, ¿qué te puedo exigir?
I'm not demanding anything. No.
Sure.
Tú me dices a mí, Cliver, aquí está,
If you
tu
say,
permiso
hey,
de trabajo,
Now here's like a work
Para que
visa, for
trabajes,
example, so that you can
luche por
work,
tu familia,
fight for your family.
sería lo ideal para mí.
That would be ideal for me.
Yeah.
¿Verdad?
Yeah.
Porque uno como cabeza de hogar,
Someone as like head of the household,
¿verdad? Mi esposa y yo, o sea,
like
debemos luchar
together
por
with
nuestros
my
hijos.
wife, and we're struggling with our
Pero
children.
recordemos que si hacemos algún papel ilegal, usurpamos una identidad, es un delito.
Yeah, so if we like kind of do that under the table, it's a felony.
Right.
Entonces eso pasa.
That's
Right.
what happens.
Well, we are 15 minutes over. Thank you for being hospitable. And thank you for being vulnerable and brave and letting us know some of your story. Would you be comfortable with me praying for you and with everybody?
No, claro que sí. Las oraciones las oraciones es parte de todo.
Prayer is part of everything. So
Es
yes,
parte de
No
todo.
está mal hablar con
O
Dios.
sea, no,
it's not bad talking to God.
¿quién dice?
Está mal
It's not bad. It's not bad.
I think we might start putting that on our bulletins.
Vamos a empezar a ponerlo en el boletín. No está mal hablar con Dios.
Pero
When-
me siento muy contento
I feel very
o sea,
good
de haber estado aquí,
to be here,
estar en la casa de Dios,
to be in God's house.
del Dios que es un solo Padre de todos nosotros.
God is one, is the only Father of all of us.
Yo sé que me voy a ir con algo grandioso dentro de mí,
I'm leaving this place with something grandiose inside of me
porque estuve en un lugar maravilloso.
because I was in a wonderful place
Y
today.
gracias a todos por escuchar.
Thank you so much for listening to us.
Thank you for making space with us. When we are done with our prayer, Nikki, could you play our postlude when we're done with prayer, and then we'll walk over, get some coffee and cookies. I can tell some of you are a little sleepy. And then you can let your children know that, if they can have coffee. Please pray with me. Gracious God, source and parent of us all, we know that you lead us in love, in peace, in graciousness. Please help us to be neighbors who reflect you to all our fellow neighbors. Help us to share the hope that Cliver and Edimar have. Help us to not give way to despair when we see the suffering of our neighbors, but instead to be inspired to show up, to walk alongside them and you. When we ask, where is God? We must look to those who are suffering, because that is where you are, and that is where you want us to be. please help Cliver and Edimar and their kids to get through this season, to have stability ahead of them, to have shelter, to have abundance, to have their needs met. And not just them, but the other 4 who traveled with them, Edimar's family, and so many other asylum-seeking neighbors around us.